All right, guys, I'm here. I'm here to talk about the whole controversy that happened with Hulk Hogan today. I mean, as I record this, it is Friday, July 24th, and the situation is still new, but obviously it's. Obviously you guys know that I'm a big wrestling fan, and I was always a big Hulk Hogan fan growing up. So this is just such a crazy situation now. Joining me are. Was my first guest on the Phoenix Report, Cory Wilson, aka C-Dub of Chronocore.com, and also joining me is a high school buddy of mine who's been a big wrestling fan as well. He currently works for Beachbody and has all kinds of other stuff going on. Chad Radosevich, guys, thanks for joining me on this thing.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
First things first, I didn't really have a lot of questions written out to this thing. Normally, I try to do a lot of prep for this, for my show whenever the Phoenix Report, whenever I have guests on. But right now, I don't know. I just don't know really what to say. The situation is still new. How are you guys feeling about it right now? Cory, you want to start?
Man. Yeah, I'll go ahead and kick it off. I just so happened to be up really, really early this morning at about 4 a.m., and I saw initially whenever this news broke about this Hulk Hogan WWE split and the racist comments to kind of catch everybody up. I mean, the news is out there, but just to kind of catch everybody up, obviously Hulk Hogan had some pretty foul, off-color language that he used that came out apparently in a deposition over this Gawker lawsuit over the sex tape. And this was apparently pillow talk between he and former wife of Bubba the Love Sponge, Heather Klim. And yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not going to quote what he said, but take it from me, or if you'd like to go read the National Enquirer's account of it. He said some pretty inexcusable stuff. Really, really embarrassing. I mean, it's one thing to be a racist, but to kind of project that onto your daughter, as Hulk Hogan did, and to feel like he has to protect her from dating people of color? I mean, are you... you can edit this if you want, Jack, but are you fucking kidding me? Like, really?
And by the way, you guys don't have to censor yourselves on this thing. I mean, you can say whatever you want. It's internet, it's free. So, I mean, whatever you guys need to do to get through this. I'll put an explicit tag on it. It's not a big deal. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying, Cory. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that in our society today, that stuff like that is still a concern. I don't know. The whole thing has kind of thrown me for a loop. Chad, I mean, you and I have known each other since high school. We go back many, many years. You were always a Hulk Hogan fan like I was. How are you feeling right now?
Just a little shocked. Definitely did not see this coming from the Hulkster. He's got a lot of, African-American friends, I thought, like Dennis Rodman, perhaps. Yeah. And I saw on his Facebook page, Virgil's backing him on a retweet that he said, this guy's done a lot for me. He's not what everyone thinks he is right now. I don't even know all the facts and stuff. And for WWE to cut him off so fast, I thought it was just some misunderstanding. I heard on Bubba the Love Sponge show, like they were showing something on, he was on a radio show in Miami when he was using the N-word, but it wasn't really negative. It was just like, I was like, is that what they cut him off for? Like, I didn't know anything until, Cory's filling me in with more information, and this is, inexcusable. I don't believe it until I hear it. I gotta hear this, I can read it, but I'm like, I just don't see this coming from the Hulkster, but man, it's really upsetting.
I feel the same way. Like, I haven't really heard or seen the tape in question. It would be really interesting to just, because I'm kind of with you, Chad. Like, it's almost tough to believe it, unless you actually hear it from the man's mouth himself. And maybe he did say all this stuff. I mean, again, we're recording this the day that it happened, so I'm sure by the time this goes out, maybe more will come to light in the news.
I hope more doesn't, though. Like, I hope this is just the one big mistake. Mick Foley was backing him too. I saw really quickly on Facebook that he
Really?
retweeted. Yeah, Mick Foley said, he just made a bad mistake. This is not who he is, and so he has his back. But I hope this is a one-time thing, and it was just maybe taken out of context. I don't know. I got to see it, and I don't know nothing. Corey's pretty sure that it's pretty messed up. So
right, yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, and again, I'm not defending what he said, but again, I'm looking back and I'm thinking like this. It just doesn't seem like him. You know?
It doesn't make.
And again, I don't know him personally, but it doesn't seem like the kind of thing he would really say or really mean.
Yeah.
So
this was on the tape. Is this what we're saying, Corey?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
On that sex tape or whatever that he had with Bubba's ex-wife or whatever. This is what they were talking about. There's more to that video than just the quick little snippets that I've seen that they showed on Gawker. You don't really see the whole thing. You just see the highlights of it or whatever. But I guess the rest of the video just shows him saying some racist stuff on it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the National Enquirer's article right now. They were the one who went out with this. I'm assuming that somebody else leaked it to the National Enquirer. They say that they had 5 independent journalists who dug this up out of the deposition because this was all, of course, part of this court case being with the sex tape and everything. And the thing that you mentioned earlier was an interview that Hulk did with DJ Who Kid on Sirius, and he definitely dropped a hard ER and a soft A N-bomb, and I mean that alone's pretty inexcusable. But I'm gonna do my best, and again,
Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off. I thought he was just like recapping what like Booker T had said about him or whatever, and then just saying how all these famous black rappers or actors were using it so much that he felt it was okay for him to say it or something, and it just didn't seem that, I didn't think that was that big a deal.
Right, well, I mean, I heard that interview you guys were talking about, and obviously, I mean, that interview in and of itself, nothing really in there seemed malicious. He was just telling a story of stuff he heard, so, I mean, in that case, I mean, he's just kind of repeating what was said, and obviously it wasn't really anything malicious behind it.
Right.
As far as what he said in the tape, here's my question, and nobody seems to be bringing this up. Why is this coming out now? This happened 8 years ago, and I'm not saying that makes it any less horrible than what it was said, but it's like this tape has been around for a long time. People have known about this. Why are people just now finding out about it?
I would venture to guess that the best answer to that question is because of the fact that now the sex tape and Hogan and Gawker are all involved in this lawsuit. And this is all evidence. It's all going to go through discovery. And, I'm assuming this is stuff that came out in court. I know that there's been a lot of talks of Hogan trying to kind of, diminish this or have it sealed to the courts, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I'm not sure if his lawyers are going to be able to do that. But I mean, as far as what Hogan actually said, I'm going to do my best to paraphrase this without saying anything incredibly offensive. But Hogan's comments on this tape, per the National Enquirer, are, quote, "I guess we're all a little racist," end quote. He goes on to say about his daughter Brooke.
I'm sorry. Is he talking to Bubba's ex-wife at this time, or is this?
Yes.
Okay.
This is apparently literally them laying in bed.
Okay.
This is like pillow talk.
Okay.
So regarding Brooke, he said, she is making some real bad decisions now. My daughter Brooke jumped sides on me. I spent $2 or $3 million on her music career. I've done everything like a jackass for her. He continued, the one option Brooke had, Brooke's career besides me, is to sell beach records. He goes on to say, a black billionaire guy, quote, had offered to fund her music career. And he went on to comment, this is the tough part again, I'm not, this don't come from me, folks, and I'm not going to quote it verbatim.
Okay.
Hogan said, I don't know if Brooke was fucking the black guy's son. He went on to say, I mean, I don't have double standards. I mean, I am a racist to a point. Effing in. And that's a hard ER, by the way. That's not like your homie. Not that would make it any more excusable. Yeah. Nevertheless, he says, but then when it comes to nice people and shit and whatever, he keeps going on. I mean, I'd rather if she was going to fuck some in, I'd rather have her marry an 8-foot tall in worth $100 million, like a basketball player. So, yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people have been pointing to this DJ Who Kid interview as the smoking gun, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, man, that can't be it, because that was 2012. I mean, he would have been hung out to dry. This was on Sirius. Yeah. I mean, it's not like it was, some little mom and pop radio show. Right. So, man, the answer to why this is coming out now is, A, we are in a more racially divided society than perhaps ever. B, this is part of a court case. This is part of the evidence in question. And C, I mean, Hulk Hogan's been quite the whipping post for the media over these last few years, from everything from his divorce to this sex tape and now this. So, I mean, just to kind of sum it all up as far as my feelings, man, it's completely unexcusable, number one, to use that word. Number two, it's even worse, like I said, to project this onto your daughter. And, I mean, I don't know, fellas. I really don't know if Hogan's ever going to really find acceptance or forgiveness for something like this. This is one of those things that people are not going to forget about, even if they do forgive you about it.
Right. It just seems strange to me, like you said, about the lawsuit with Gawker, and I don't know if Bubba is still involved in it or what, but it just seems strange to me, like it's coming out now, because the lawsuit has been ongoing for quite a few years now, hasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
So, it's been like 3 years.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just still a mystery why this is coming out now, and I'm sure by the time we post this, or maybe later, the truth will come out. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I would like to think that, something like this might blow over or something, but I don't know if it will or if it should.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
Especially since WWE cut him off completely. Now that's like where it's really serious.
Yeah, and WWE's got enough skeletons in their closet of their own. I mean, I can think of all kinds of gimmicks and insensitive things that have happened on their television. And this isn't counting Booker T's little slip at the Clash of the Champions in WCW, where he called Hulk Hogan the N-word. Yeah. Which, I mean, that's just how he talks, and it slipped out. I mean, that's just all there was to that. But I mean, there's been some really, really offensive stuff that WWE has done over the years. I mean, you can go back and look at the manager Slick. Jive Soul Bro. Come on, man, that was terrible. Akeem, aka One Man Gang, and his whole transformation, that was pretty insensitive. Yeah, and I could go on and on. So, I mean, kudos to WWE for.
Yeah. What about Crime Time?
Crime Time. Yeah. There you go. To get a little bit, get a little bit closer.
How about like 10 years ago when Teddy Long was coming out and calling all the white fans and the white wrestlers crackers on TV? By the way, I don't know if you guys remember that.
I do.
And then you have $1 Million Man's personal servant, Virgil.
Yeah, that was pretty demeaning.
Yeah, which, by the way, I'm not sure Virgil sticking up for Hulk right now is necessarily the best character witness.
Yeah, right.
Probably not. I'm wondering if Hogan had to slip him a 20 before he.
No, I mean, let's talk about WWE for a second. First of all, I want to go on record saying I don't blame them for cutting ties with him right now, because they're a publicly traded company. They need to do what they need to do to protect their company. I get that. I guess, like, for for the time being, it seems like they've removed any reference of him from the website. I don't know if they're like removing all his footage from the WWE Network right now.
Oh, that'd be crazy.
I don't see him actually removing footage, but they definitely removed all mentions of him on the website up to a point to where they changed Curtis Axel, a.k.a. Axelmania.
Oh, yeah, that gimmick is done now.
It's done.
Not happening.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
So is his career. Just kidding.
well,
I'm afraid that's been on life support for a few years, as bad as I want Joe Hennig to do well.
No, I met Joe a few years ago. He's a good dude, but yeah, it's been a tough go the last couple of years for him. But regardless, what we're saying about WWE right now, I don't think they're going to pull like what they did with Chris Benoit and just kind of erase him completely from history. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't know if they should do that.
I don't know if they can. It's what's going to happen with WrestleMania 3? Did Andre the Giant slam himself?
I know.
Well, let's be honest. Hulk Hogan helped build that company. He helped build this business. I can tell you, if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, I would not be a wrestling fan. I know, Chad, I know you feel the same way. I'm sure the business would not be what it is without Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt about that.
And again, I'm not saying we should give him a free pass on what he said,
right.
But
yeah, you can't say that. But I hope maybe after all this is said and done, and Hogan goes on his apology tour, that WWE will bring him back so he can have a formal apology to the WWE universe and maybe come back clean again and finish out, before he dies. You don't know when these wrestlers die. They get older and all of a sudden they just drop. So I don't want him to just be, this is his last, known thing. That would be terrible,
Right, right. And look, people say things in the heat of the moment when, and again, I'm not excusing what he said at all, but I'm just saying people make mistakes, and certainly at that point in his life, we all know it's been well documented what happened with the affair with Heather Clem. And with all that stuff, he was in a really dark place. God knows, what he was on at that time. And again, not saying this excuses what he said, but it's just
well, yeah, there's definitely no excuse. But if this is the only time anywhere if there's nobody else coming forward and saying, no, I know Hogan, he's a racist, and nobody's ever said that before. So this could honestly be a one-time just stupid thing. He was just, like you said, in a bad place. No excuse, obviously, but there's nobody else coming forward saying that, no, I know Hogan, I've heard him before, he's always said racist things, and nobody's saying that yet. It's still early, so we'll see what happens.
It's just, like I said, it just doesn't seem like him. And maybe there's more to Hogan than we all knew about. I don't know. I don't think that...
Maybe it's caught up with him, yeah. Maybe he was a racist for all this time, and now it's finally coming to light, but I don't think so.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think that Hulk Hogan hates black people. I don't really think that is true. I think, he may have said some ignorant shit.
Yeah.
and
well, he's sensitive to, I don't know. It's his daughter too, whatever. I don't know. But still, it shouldn't matter, but...
Yeah,
I don't know what to say.
I will say that I saw...
Black guy, I'm sure he doesn't want any guys sleeping with his daughter.
Right. Probably not. And hey, that I can identify with, dude. I don't want any dudes coming around my daughter. I don't care if they're purple.
Right.
But,
it's just, I've had people in my own family say stuff that I'm like, okay, you really shouldn't say it. You really shouldn't say that. You shouldn't say that word. And it's just... and again, I don't want to use this as an excuse. Maybe it's a generational thing. Growing up here in Tampa back in the day, I don't know. It reminds me of that whole thing with Paula Deen a few months ago.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's such a complicated issue, convoluted issue, and I kind of feel weird talking about race. It's just us three white dudes talking about it, but
yeah.
I will say this. This isn't a situation like a Michael Richards where he came out and in public did this and was spewing hate toward people. This is a situation where he assumed that it was only him and Heather Clem, Bubba's wife, in this conversation who would ever hear this.
Yeah.
Again, that does not excuse any of this. It's not cool whether you say it to yourself and nobody hears it.
And you know something, Corey? They still air reruns of Seinfeld. So, I mean,
yeah.
I think if this can blow over, maybe eventually this thing can heal. I don't know. I mean, it's obviously Hulk Hogan has already publicly apologized for it. I know that.
Yeah.
I don't have his exact quote in front of me right now, but I know he has apologized for it and said, it's like, look, it was a moment. It was 8 years ago. I said some things that I regret. That's not who I am. And I don't know. I'm inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I just, I know obviously in today's world, everything is instant. Everybody has a voice. Yep. Everyone is willing to snap to judgment. I don't think he is a racist. I don't know the man personally, but I don't know. It's just it's a disappointing thing to hear about someone, especially, and maybe I'm just maybe I'm just biased because I mean this was my childhood hero growing up. He was for all of us.
I'm definitely biased.
So maybe that's it. I don't know. So hopefully, hopefully everyone can heal from this and that we can move on somehow. And I mean, it's kind of crazy. I feel weird even talking about it right now because if anyone is listening to my podcast, like the whole point of it is not to deal with like all these hot button issues, and I don't really like even talking about this or politics or whatever it is. But it's just it's something that happened right now that it's something that I'm passionate about. You guys, all three of us are wrestling fans, so it's disappointing to hear about, and hopefully as the truth comes out that we'll be able to get over this. But for right now, it's definitely a sad day for all of us Hulkamaniacs.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. I did see that Brooke tweeted or posted up a poem that she had wrote about her father, basically supporting him. And I also saw a statement from Mark Henry, a guy who currently employed by WWE, has dealt with some pretty foul comments in the past from one Michael Hayes, Freebird Michael Hayes, who is also still employed by the company.
Yeah.
Yeah,
needless to say, the guy who carried a Confederate flag on his back for 20 years in the ring? Yeah, that guy. What a shock.
Mark Henry's statement was, it was fair, but like us, I mean, he said, look, I'm very disappointed in thinking that this guy has this inside of him, and I don't blame anybody for being angry about this, but I'll tell you this as completely objectively as possible. I've spent the better part of 30 years of my life studying pro wrestling, gathering every little fact and hearsay and anything about anybody that anybody's ever said. And I've heard some stuff about some racist people in the wrestling business. Dick Murdoch, God rest his soul, pretty well known as a racist. But, I've never ever heard anything in regards to Hulk Hogan, about his character, about being a racist, or anything like that. So, Yeah.
I'm checking Twitter. Oh, I'm sorry to cut you off. But I'm checking Twitter and I see Bubba Clem, or Bubba the Love Sponge. He just tweeted 3 hours ago. I know my, at Hulk Hogan friend isn't really happy with me, but the last thing he is racist. Please retweet. So, they're not even friends anymore, and he's saying he's not racist. So
I was gonna say, man, I've I hate to call a spade, but Bubba's not exactly known for being a racially sensitive person.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I think pretty much everybody knows that, and that doesn't validate or invalidate what was said and what happened here. Mm-hmm. But I gotta say, man, as a fan of pro wrestling for as long as I have been, Hulk Hogan is gonna have a hell of a lot of work to do to undo this. I mean, whether he's actually... it comes out that he's some kind of, Confederate flag waving and got a collection of pointy hats in his closet, or if it comes out that this is, like we've said, something that he said in private and in confidence that no one would hear it, and it just came out because of this suit. Again, there's no excuse for it either way. it's bad no matter how you slice it, and you can't back down from, saying stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the very least, as a business owner, I mean, Hulk Hogan has the Hogan's Beach shop there in Clearwater. I don't see that sticking around much longer.
Just because of this, you think that it's just too much negative press?
This is that kind of negative press. I mean, you got negative press, and then you got this.
It's lasted longer than I thought, actually. It's that thing. I was there, the grand opening of it, October 2012, and it's still around. So I was like, I thought it would close like in a year, but it's actually, I guess, I don't know. People go in there and buy a bunch of stuff that's in there. I haven't been back since, but I don't.
You thought it would go the way of Pasta Mania.
There you go.
I never.
Anyways, guys, I hate to wrap this up for now, but I want to thank you both for joining me on this. I know it's definitely a tough thing to talk about. I appreciate you guys taking the time to chat about this, and like you said, Cory, I'm inclined to believe that he's not a Confederate flag waving racist. I don't think he is. I mean, I guess time will tell on that one. But yeah, it's going to be a tough time, coming back from this if it's possible. But like I said, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this little reaction piece. And hopefully, I think we'll all be paying attention to the news. And I'm sure as time goes on, I'll maybe have you guys back to talk some more about it.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you guys here sometime soon. Make sure to subscribe here on the Phoenix Report.
Thank you for the plug, Cory, and check his show out at chronocord.com. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Peace out, fellas.
See you guys.
Ya. Brother.